Welcome to the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver, brought to you by Arlo Revolution. Each week, Aaron connects melodies and memories with fans and artists from all genres of life. When all else in life is gone, only music will be left to leave the legacy of life's adventures. Please welcome your host for the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast, Aaron Shriver.
What's up, guys? We always have fun every week, so I guess they didn't like the way I was doing that once again. I don't know what's going on. Every week they change something here, and I'm always challenged, but we have fun. We can buy, right? I hear an echo.
There's an echo.
Hang tight, guys. Is your phone on? Are we hearing it through your phone from your headphones? I don't hear it anymore. We're going to get this right. We're on episode 60. You would think one of these days we'd get this right, but this is also why we do it live, so you get to see how we get to do it.
I won't be able to listen to it this way.
No?
No, because it's coming through somehow.
Is it coming through?
Yeah.
All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and roll with the show and get it rolling. We're just checking out some audio and making sure.
Yeah, it's echoing bad on the feed.
We always have these issues, guys. Hang tight. We will be live here soon. You good? Or you think you're good? Is it just coming from the phone?
Yeah, it's echoing on the feed. I can't. Yes, the echo's only on the phone.
So no more echo, right? Get over here. Do you guys in the chat, if anybody out there hearing an echo right now? If you guys are not, just let me know. We're going to get rolling. No, I'm hearing it still. Is that your phone? Hey, turn your mic off. Turn your
mic is off.
The volume all the way down. Just slide that down.
It's muted.
You know what? I know what it is. This whole time, I'm going to know it. I'm going to blame this right now. We're going to roll with this. This is going to be fun. All right, everybody in the chat, there's like, 30 of you guys, I think, in here right now. We have a special guest that's going to come on around 7:50, and he's already logged in. No, maybe that's not him.
Everybody says it sounds fine on their end.
I thought maybe we were just hearing Bill's thing, but I just muted him. But I still hear it. Unplug your phone. Now it's coming from somewhere else. Is that your phone?
It's coming through on the feed on my phone that way, yeah.
Well, turn your phone all the way down.
It's down.
Okay, I don't hear it nowhere.
Right, because volume's off, and when I plug the headphones in, it's coming through my headphones. You don't hear it. I don't know, man.
Man, I think my basement's just haunted, maybe. So. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and roll with the show and just hopefully it. I don't know.
Dude, I only work here. Okay, don't ask me.
All right, guys, sorry about that. That's a whole 10 minutes we've already been live, and welcome to season 3 of the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast, episode 60. I'm your host, Aaron Shriver. It's a place where we connect melodies and memories with both fans, artists, and some of the most interesting people in and around the music community. I'm your host, Aaron Shriver. As you guys know, lately, we have been switching every month. We've been doing one specialty episode. And so tonight is going to be our next specialty episode. We're going to still stick around with the music theme, so it's going to be a good time. But we want to give a huge shout out to all of our sponsors tonight. Arlo Revolution. You saw their video at the top of the show. Cinematic wedding films, music videos, and promos. Find them at arlorevolution.com. Our on-screen sponsors. I want to get this right one of these days. Art on a Higher Wire by Joel. Original and custom artwork and inspired by your life moments, treasured photos, and memories. Find them on Facebook. And then Corey Oliphant and the Original Church Choir. Once again, I'm happy as hell to have these guys with me every week. Man, all right, guys. Looks like we got some people coming in. So thank you guys again for being live with us. We are live every Tuesday night on Facebook and now YouTube as well. If you guys are looking for ways to support the show every week, I do quickly talk about our Patreon. Hop on over there, check it out. Tons of tiers. We're gonna be updating a lot of things. But one of the coolest things I'm gonna tell you guys right now, you got to make sure you're on this Patreon. We do after shows every now and then. Tonight's gonna be our last weeks without an after show for probably about 4 or 5 weeks. So our next 5 weeks of a lineup, if you guys have not seen this lineup, it kicks off tonight with Mazza. But we have LV Shane coming by next week, followed by an amazing, amazing Canadian artist, Jade Eagleson, Drew Parker, Tommy Chong, and one that I have not yet announced live or anything else. One of my personal favorites, you guys might remember a song called The Call from years ago. Matt Kenyon is going to be coming on shortly after Christmas before New Year's. So going to be another awesome chat with him. So great times, but all of them except Tommy Chong are going to have after show. So check out the Patreon if you guys can. This month, the cool little contest or giveaway we are doing another Jeremy Spillman book, $25 Chief merch gift card, and then as well some cool little Mazza gifts, a couple little stickers, and a church choir, or not church choir, but a church poster. Everything sound good? Or what are you doing?
I'm just trying to figure out why it's echoing on my phone because everybody else on the stream is saying everything sounds great.
Maybe it's your phone that's on it. So you bring this guy in and looks what happens. No.
Hey.
So really cool
I'm
little
a professional, remember.
Yeah. A really cool little November giveaway. Like I said, if you get on Patreon, everything over there starts at just $1. The giveaway and the after show start at $5. Check it out if you guys can. Really cool to kind of keep the show going. And come on, I'm trying to read these everything in the chat, guys, but I'm going to tell you, I think my old age set in like my first week in quarantine, which I did come negative. So that's why Jason's here tonight. He wasn't here last week. I had my wife sit in, but yeah, I think I can't see. Everything's been blurred the last 3-4 days. I don't know. So I was going to read all these notes, but I was like, whatever. But if you guys could go ahead and drop where you guys are from tonight, go ahead and share the feed if you can too, all over, and we could bring some people in. Sorry about the little bit of a closer view tonight. We were trying some different things. I don't know if I like it or not, so we'll see. I don't like being all up and close and personal with everybody. So we're going to go ahead and bring on, I have one more thing I want to talk about before we bring on our special guest. If you guys saw, the Grammy nominations came out today, and I'm going to give a big cheers of water to Eric Church being nominated. What is this one for? Best Country Solo Performance. It's going to be a tight category. If you guys remember earlier this year, we did have Luke Dick on. He did write the song Bluebird by Miranda Lambert. So he's in the same category. So great nominations today. Hey, maybe it's Church's year. He got Entertainer of the Year last week. Let's see what happens. If you could bring home his first Grammy, it'd be pretty impressive this year. January 31st, I think, is the awards. And congrats, man. It's going to be pretty cool. But tonight's guest, if you guys are a member of the church choir that is watching this, which a lot of the show comes from, this guy needs no introduction with you guys. As you could probably see when I have a little thing on there, there's a couple posters behind me that both belong to him. And if you're a collector of concert posters and you're joining us from that realm of everything, you definitely know who this guy is as well. But I'm excited to bring Jim in and talk with him tonight and just really find out what all happened when he saw this Kiss picture when he was 4 years old. Go ahead and hit that.
I'm sorry. I'm still trying to figure out the audio.
The guess one. The purple.
Purple?
There you go. This guy's going to get right one of these days. What's up, Jim?
Hey, I'm trying to figure out the echo problem on my side.
He's going crazy. Do we hear it? Hey, Jim, talk real quick.
How's it going, guys?
All right, I hear him. Is that too loud, though?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Not here, it isn't.
Okay. Sorry,
Trust me, man. I can do this. I can't figure out the echo problem.
We're dealing with some audio issues tonight, buddy. So, but hey, welcome to the show, man. I'm glad to have you on tonight. Give me fun times. How's your year going? Before we really dig into this, for a concert poster creator, no concerts, man. What's going on for you this year?
I mean, it's worked out all right for me, surprisingly. I mean, I was pretty worried when it all kind of started happening that I was going to be, I didn't know what I was going to do, to be honest. just pretty much used that opportunity to start doing all the stuff that I thought I wanted to do, but never had the time because I was doing so much gig poster work.
Yeah.
So like I started painting and started doing art prints and making toys and all that kind of stuff, and people wanted it. So it's worked out well.
You can't create, nobody's not going to want, dude.
Yeah, they're always the things that are in the back of your head, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So tell me, I was listening. If you guys want to have some fun, dig into, just go to YouTube, go type in Jim Mazza, or pronounce your last name for me.
Mazza?
Yeah, Mazza. I have a buddy, David Weber, and he's drilled into my head. He's like, "What's a Mazza print?" I'm like, "No, I don't." And I heard those things. It's like, it's Mazza. I know it's Mazza. So want to get that right real quick. But check out a couple other interviews he did. Some really cool stuff over there. And I forgot where I was going with that. We were gonna go somewhere with that. But let's see. I want to bring up some of these pictures. But dude, I want to talk about, we talked about you were talking about, we were 4 years old, 5 years old before your parents got divorced, and you saw a Kiss drawing. Was that your first real taste of just artwork or just anything that was related to like music art at all?
It's my first memory for sure. I remember it. So I can't say vividly because I think, as I mentioned before, it could have been a really bad drawing, but I was 4, you know, and I think it was my babysitter that drew it. And I was just kind of blown away that he could do something that looked just like, you know, the guys in Kiss. So that was my first time I really thought, man, I'd really like to be able to draw.
Yeah.
But yeah, that thought's always stuck with me.
If you saw that drawing today, it's probably like, Did you ever do any Kiss work at all for you in your career?
I did a collab with another artist on a Kiss poster, but it was like a promoter print, and I didn't draw it though. I just colored it, and then I screen printed it.
Oh,
but
awesome.
So that's the closest I got to actually doing anything for Kiss. So.
Well, hey, I mean, they don't ever go away, so you never know one of these days. So after you saw that drawing and you really kind of sparked your interest, where did your love or just for music artwork come from? Like, is that what you kind of dove into, or were you just kind of doing sketches on your side on other things?
Yeah, it was. I think my first love of art was just cartoons and comic books, and I mean Garfield was probably the next thing that I was really into. I used to just copy the panels in Garfield books and stuff like that, and comic books were very big inspiration for me. I mean, for probably up until I was in my early 20s, all I really wanted to do was draw comic books. But you know, there was little things here and there that kind of, I look back now and I see that I was kind of interested in art for music. I just didn't really realize it at the time, you know, like I would see like some Ozzy Osbourne covers and I would kind of draw those and stuff like that. And then got a little older, I was doing things for people in bands, like friends of friends, you know, tape covers or whatever it was. But I didn't really think like, oh, this could be a career, you know. It was just something that was just an opportunity to draw something, you know, for someone.
Do you remember the first band you ever like did a drawing for? Like, remember their name?
Well, I did a cassette tape cover for some like straight edge band that my girlfriend's good friend was in. And that was probably my first like legitimate. I mean, it was legitimate just because they actually used it. I didn't get paid for it or anything. But you know, this was back in like the probably mid 90s. So
yeah. So you're originally from out by Massachusetts. What took you out to the west side, man?
Well, when I did a year of art school in Boston at just this commercial art school, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do because I didn't think that comics were really going to be like a viable thing for me. So I started looking at animation schools, which I don't know why I settled on animation because that's probably almost harder than comic books. But when I started looking around at schools, there was a art institute in Seattle, which Seattle back at that time was pretty affordable. So it was kind of between Seattle and Pittsburgh, the two art institutes, but Pittsburgh was, so that was pretty much what narrowed it down to Seattle. and we went out and looked at the school, and then I ended up moving out there, and I lived there for like 7 years. And then there I met one of my best friends, and he was from Southern California, and he ended up leaving school and then moving back here with his wife. So then when I later on, after I wanted to change the scenery, I just decided to move down here.
Oh, that's cool, man. Now, did you meet your wife out where you live now, or was that back in Seattle?
No, I met her here. She's from where we live now.
Oh, nice. All right, yeah. So once you got out there, what was your first first big gig poster where you're like, okay, this is going to be like kind of seen by more than just, or the first time you had to do maybe mass prints for a gig?
Man, it's such a slow, hard to say. There was some. I did some pretty big name bands back when I was doing a lot of promoter Live Nation.
Okay,
but I never had that like one where it just like that was the one that set me off on my way to being like making tons of money making posters. It was a slow build. Even when I was doing a lot of like I did a Tool poster, I did Chris Cornell, I did a bunch of stuff for Live Nation back when I was fairly early on in my career, but I never really took off like the way I would.
But you weren't a fan of that either, you wanted to do more of the artist's work. Like you didn't working with the promoters, right?
I wasn't crazy about it, but at that time it was more common back then.
Oh yeah. I was a kid of the 90s. I mean, I was born in the 80s, so like 90s. I remember going and finding the old concert posters, but it was more back then. It was more geared when I would get them. It's like the whole tour. It wouldn't be just like that one show. So when do you think it really started changing for like more prominent, when these started really coming back? Because like in the 60s and 70s, they would have Nashville had like Hatch Show print, and you would have these different prints everywhere. When do you think it started coming back or more prominent?
Yeah, well, to be honest, like I didn't even know. I wasn't even like fully aware of like the whole 60s and 70s like psychedelic poster thing.
Yeah.
I found out about posters more from the modern stuff, like the Jermaine Rogers, the MX, and the Justin Hamptons and stuff like that, the Ames brothers. Those are kind of like my real first experience with poster art. And so I think I want to say it was probably, I want to say the late 90s. I could be wrong about this, but I think that's really when it started to kind of pick up, steam again. I think bands like Pearl Jam, Fish, Dave Matthews were all doing posters back then.
I was gonna say you did Trey posters too, right? From Fish.
What's that?
You did a lot of Trey. Well, I can't ever pronounce his last name. Trey Anastasio, or how do you say his last name?
Yeah, I did.
From Fish, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I think they're the three bands that kind of started doing a lot of posters, and then other bands kind of caught on. And,
what did you think when you first got your first request for a country one? Did you just like, this is absolutely crazy?
Well, no, it's funny because my first request, it wasn't even a request. It was Eric Church, but it was, his manager posted on gigposters.com like they have message boards on there.
Yeah.
Just like website, and they said, looking for artists to do country music concert posters, and I just responded to it because I had just gone full-time freelance. So I was trying to get all the work I could get, I didn't even listen to country music. I honestly, up until this point, I never listened to country music. The only experience I really had with it was my grandparents listened to it when I was a kid. They watched the Grand Ole Opry and stuff. And, we used to listen to it in the car and stuff like that. But other than that, I didn't really know too much about it.
So that was for the Blood, Sweat, and Beers tour that he was doing at that time, right? The first one was at Alabama. I think it was like Beach, and then it was Hoffman Estates. And that's one of the rarest ones I think you've done yet, which I'm lucky. I got it. Yeah, sitting over here somewhere.
Yeah, that was the second one. But it was funny because I talked to his manager on the phone, and we worked out a deal. And but he was trying to build up the poster scene for Eric. And
Eric went he liked the stuff that everybody used to do. So like he brought back, I feel like Eric really brought back the vinyl game in country. Vinyl was dying out all around, I feel like. And I feel like with country music, he led the charge bringing back vinyl. And then same thing with posters. you weren't seeing these posters. And when Eric started doing, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be cool, but it can be broke too. I mean, there's a reason why this guy's has a marketing degree, 10 different one album, 10 different colors, all these posters. But
yeah.
Did you think it was gonna be that big of a market though when it started happening, or when you were doing the gig posters?
It didn't really start off like super crazy. Like when I did that first one, I think they ordered like 100 prints, and then I need to sell, and the 20 sold out pretty quick, which back then for me was a good day. You know, like if I sold out 20 posters in like half a day, I was like surprised. You know.
Yeah.
So it kind of showed potential, and then the Hoffman Estates one, like I said, I only had like a couple to sell, literally, because I had problems with that print run. So I sent the ones that were all good to the venue.
Well, I was going to ask you what happened with that, because I heard something about that. I know there was one. It was around the same tour. I mean, like I got it. Yeah, I got it right next to it. It wasn't one of yours. I forgot who did it. It was a Tupelo, Mississippi one. They spelled Tupelo wrong, and like I think they pulled them like right before the show or something, but only a few got out. Okay. You can find them on eBay every now and then, but like with that one was like, I heard like something happened. It is like some of them they didn't even get, and that's why it's so rare still.
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as I know, at the show they sold them all.
Yeah.
The run, some of them were kind of messed up, so all the ones that I would have kept for myself, I ended up just tossing, and I just had like 2 that I thought were good to sell. So I had sold both of them. I don't even have one.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
After that,
people are looking for him.
is when he stopped doing merch posters, and it just all went to VIP.
Yeah.
After that, I did a bunch of VIP posters for, I don't know if it was like maybe a couple of years or a year or something. But during that time, it was a little bit different as far as sales go, because I was able to print posters to sell, like maybe 40 posters of each print. But
yeah,
you know, the promotion wasn't there as much for the VIP prints, you know, so they weren't selling out. I'd have a bunch of them sitting in my flat file. But then once he started back up with the merch posters again, it was like, oh, he's doing posters. And then people would see that there was all these other ones that, you know, they had. But by then, you know, I had people buying them up, you know, because they see get popular again, you know. Yeah,
that's why when I went on your site, cause I was like, all right, I gotta buy one for the giveaway. Having you on the show, I gotta at least give away one of your prints. And I'm like, I was surprised to even see any church on there, because the way they sell at times.
Yeah.
We briefly talked about Pearl Jam too, back in the 90s, being hot with the posters. And I know Pearl Jam has a crazy fan base. And I know you're a big fan of Pearl Jam too. Would you compare them and the Choir at all? Like their 10 Club and the Choir all together? Because I've seen both sides of Pearl Jam and the Choir, and they're both pretty crazy, man.
Well, I mean, I have somewhat limited experience with them as far as doing posters. I've only done an Eddie Vedder.
Yeah.
So I've had a number of like really fast sellouts. Eddie Vedder was one. I think it was like I sold about 75 prints in like a couple minutes.
Jeez.
But the Church Nashville poster was probably, I think I sold about 60 prints in like, you know, it wasn't even a minute. It was probably like 30 seconds. I was surprised
your site didn't shut down that day.
I have other too that I still have, like the New Hampshire one that still hasn't. So it just depends. I don't know. From what I hear, you know, Pearl Jam prints sell out pretty fast, but a lot of times it depends on the art, depends on the artists.
Yeah, it does. There's still one I'm looking for, and every time I find it, it's like $1,200. I just can't come to buying a $1,200 poster, but it was back when Pearl Jam played Wrigley, and they had like 4 or 5 posters for like the first show they did, and one was like a Cracker Jack box. It looked really cool, and I'm like, one of these days I'm going to grab that poster, but I'm like, I can't do 1,200, man. I'm like, I think the most I've ever spent was probably $400 or $500 and that was a church. It was either Nashville Ascend Amphitheater or the Gorge from the Double Down tour. But I was lucky. All the prints I got from the Mazza. See, I'm going to say it wrong, Weber. Look what you did to me.
That worked.
Yeah, Weber, he apologized in the chat, but he's going to have he has that grilled in my head. But I think all the prints I have from you are just like the Nashville one. I definitely have. I missed out on the foil ones. I have to one of these days I'm going to keep an eye out for that. Let's see. Yeah, we Wheeler's in the chat, so definitely the choir ones are definitely hot sellers. I've seen that one a time or two. So when you get to do iconic posters and talking about a couple like the Red Rocks one with Church, the Nashville one, even the 100 or the 10-year one, to you, when you get to actually go and see these venues or see these shows, is it just kind of come full circle in a way?
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't it's a little bit surreal, you know, like there's lots of people coming up to you, like, you know, telling you how much they like the work and all that kind of stuff, and you feel a little bit like a celebrity for the day, you know. On. So it's always nice to meet everybody and, you know, kind of tell them how much you appreciate the support and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, getting to see the band play and all that kind of stuff is always, it's a good time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know you came down to Nashville, and that's why I actually the one time I got to meet you, I was looking through my photos. I'm like, did I ever get a picture with him that day? I'm like, I don't think I did, but we got to talk briefly. I know at the Flying Saucer, I think it was for a little bit. But for that show, I mean, just to see that and his first stadium show, and for you to be picked as that artist. Now, I thought that was probably one of the coolest things you're going to get to do. I'm like, all right, I mean, first stadium church show, I mean, but now you're on shirts, and then recently you got to do a Jack Daniels bottle. Tell me a little bit about this whole thing, man.
You know, it was weird because they reached out to me. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know if Matt was the one that gave them my name, but they reached out to me because they liked the Sinners 10th anniversary. You know, because they like that style, which I thought was funny because it's the only poster I've ever done in that style. And it was just kind of like, you know, it's not really even the style I usually draw in. So they're like, oh, we want you to do something in this style. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Even though
with that poster, sorry to cut in real quick. I think it was probably Wheeler or whoever did it. They put it in this really ancient or really badass frame. And that frame is what sold that, like the whatever picture, wherever they first designed. I wish I would have had it, but they had that poster in a badass frame. I'm like, ugh. I will never look the same until I find that frame. A couple of people have got to duplicate it, but sorry about that.
Yeah. So anyways, they hit me up and they were like, you know, they asked me, you know, if I wanted to do the label, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to, you know.
Oh, yeah, man.
There wasn't too much into it other than that, really. They liked the Sinners poster. They wanted me to kind of do something similar style to that for the label, and then I just did some roughs, and it was kind of weird in the way that for just the size that it is, it took almost man, started talking to them in like February, and I didn't finish it until July. This would because I'd send in something and then I'd wait a month to hear back about, you know. So it took a long time to actually get it finished, but yeah, I was really happy with the result. How it came out.
It looks awesome. I still gotta get my hands on one. I bought one from a guy and he hasn't mailed it to me. I just haven't got it yet. We'll get it one of these days. But it's a really, really cool design, man. And it's cool to also be like, now your art is in stores. I mean, liquor stores. People just walk in and see one of your designs. And I mean, how cool is something like that, knowing that you're pretty much in every state now, across everywhere.
Well, it's a weird feeling because I'm not a big drinker, number one. I mean, I drink a little bit. It's funny. It's the funniest part about it is that my dad used to drink, love to drink. He doesn't drink anymore, and my stepdad is, you know, loves beer and whatever. So I told them both that I did this label for Jack Daniels, and of all the posters I've done over the years for how many bands, you never got like I'm really proud of you or any of this shit. But as soon as I did Daniels label, it's like, oh, you made it. You know, like that's so awesome. I'm like, oh, as soon as I do something for alcohol, it's like, you know,
they recognize it right away. They're like, oh, hey, yeah, all right. Yeah, it was really cool. It was cool that I don't know who it was, but somebody on one of Eric's fan sites they noticed, I think really small on the label is your logo. We noticed that, and someone called it out, and it was really cool when we found out that you were part of it, because you have been part of some of the most iconic things with church. I mean, with the Red Rocks and then the Nashville posters too. Tell me a little bit. We talked about how fast they were, but you did foils for those. And if a lot of people tuning in, if they don't know what foil is or rainbows or this, that, go ahead and talk about that process a little bit, about variants, like poster variants, artist proofs, and just different things when it comes to variant posters.
I mean, it's always part of the discussion, kind of once the art is, getting underway. Mm-hmm. If we're variants, who's going to get what variants? There's not a whole lot more to it as far as like producing the art. I mean, you always want to leave space for the foil to show through, or else there's no point in doing it. Kind of like on those church posters worked out perfectly, because the skeleton and the smoke and all the little areas of white in the buildings and stuff like that, in the sky. So it all kind of worked well on those. But yeah, it's as far as the printing goes, it's pretty much the same. You're printing the same way you would on normal paper. But yeah, it's kind of a back and forth with the management or the merch director, whoever it is, deciding on, how many editions you're allowed to do, what the band wants, that type of thing. And that's kind of how it's.
I was gonna say, is like the technical side of things. I mean, you really have to get all that cleared and everything else. Like saying, "Hey, I want to do so many variants or so many of this." Now, like, I know when it comes to like church, he gets like all the numbers, all the ones that are numbered. He gets number one out of everything. Now, do you see that with like a lot of your other artists, where they want the number one, the first print or the edition?
The way it typically works is not for everybody, but for Eric Church and for most other bands, they have their own edition. So they want 200, it'll be 1 through 200. And then my edition will be an artist edition. So it'll say AE 1 through 50 or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, so he'll always get number one of his regular edition, whether they choose to sell it or not. But then there's other bands like the Abbott Brothers, where they'll say they want an edition of 200, and then I'll get 50 of those.
Okay.
So be a separate edition. So I usually will just the last 50 in the edition and give them, because they're paying for it, and so I just make sure they get 1 through 150 or whatever it is. It doesn't make a big difference to me.
I'm going through photos, trying to pull different posters that you've done over the years, man. I'm like, you've done so many good ones, and you just mentioned the Abbott Brothers. And you did one for their Red Rocks. I think, was it last year? And I think, I mean, it might not be. Let's see if I can find it. But is it the biggest poster you've ever done or ever had printed? Was the 6-piece that you did for him? I think.
Yeah, that there was the year before that.
Okay.
That was only 3 posters. But then the next year what happened was usually they do 3 nights at Red Rock. So they'll do, a triptych for the merch, and then a triptych for the VIPs. So it's 6 different posters. So last year he asked me to just do, 3 for the merch and 3 for the VIP, and have it all make one big, huge image. So yeah, it was a little bit of an undertaking.
It was killer when I saw it, and I'm like, oh man, I thought church was bad. Doing 3 of them or put them all together. I was like, but now 6 of them. This is crazy.
It was so many to do, and they sold out at the show. It was like, I think it was like, I'm trying to think. It was either 300 per night or
wow.
I wanted, because the year before, I feel like they did, I want to say it was 600 per night, but I might be wrong. I don't know. Whatever it was, I was like, there's no way they're going to sell out of these things. And they still sold out every night. And it was a lot.
Now, do you see that common, like 300, 400, 500, or do you see a lot of artists going over that number and maybe going up into thousands, or is that pretty common, just maybe mid 500 or so?
It depends. Usually, the majority of the time, it's like, a couple hundred, or so. It just those big shows at Red Rocks are always going to require a larger run, just because people want a poster more when it's at Red Rocks, and it's
Oh, yeah, it's iconic. I mean, this now. Have you only done Everett Brothers in Church with Red Rocks, or has there been any other artists that you've done?
Done quite a few Red Rocks prints. A lot of VIP prints.
Okay.
So I think I've done Primus. I've done String Cheese Incident. I've done Church, Everett Brothers. I said a lot, but now I can only think of 4. There's others. I just can't think of them off the top of my head.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's one venue I definitely want to get out to and check out is Red Rocks, and it's cool that because I think, and I've heard you mention or talk about before, but like how they tell a story, these posters, and it's more than just a concert. It's giving you a whole nother experience because it's like it's funny now because I'll listen if I get to the church shows early and everybody be scheming in the first like in line. Okay, I'm going to this merch stand to get this poster. I'm going to get this pit. Like everybody's planning their getaway, and it's cool to like have these different iconic shows and be part of them. Now you did one a church one that was color your own or color in.
Yeah.
Have you ever done anything like that before?
No.
Now, was that a Wheeler thing, or how did that work out, man?
I can take credit for the idea. That was Matt's idea, but
Hardy, we're going to talk about that here in a minute. He said, "Don't give Wheeler any ideas." We're going to talk about that here in a minute because we're going to talk about something he's been doing that I think would be really cool. But yeah, when I saw that, and it was really cool prints that you could do because now you're bringing in like I know you're a dad and you have 2 young kids and they're starting to draw or one of them was, and. Yeah. Where you got to be able to do this, I'm sure people now, or you see them colored in, and where people have experiences and the families will color it in or anything else. How cool is something like that? Now that you're in liquor stores and you're helping out kids.
Yeah, I mean the whole experience is fun, man. I mean it's something that I dreamt about for a long time, and I was kind of thinking about it today because, you know, I got kind of a late start, so like. You know, I didn't even start pursuing it until I was in my early 20s, an art career, you know. It was kind of like I took a detour from welding and I was like, I don't want to do this for the next 40 years of life. So I want to be an artist. So I got to either try now or I'm just going to be screwed basically doing this, something I hate for the rest of my life.
Yeah. My dad was a welder.
So I was like thinking about it today and I'm like, you know, there's a good chance that it might not have worked out. And then what would I be? I'd probably be working in a hotel still, which is the job I was doing, you know, to make ends meet. But it's kind of a scary thought because, you know, I was thinking also about how when this whole pandemic thing started, if I wasn't able to make it as an artist anymore, like what would I go and do? Because I'm not going to be able to make good money working at a hotel, you know, like I'd be screwed. I'm like, there's nothing else I can do. So it kind of had to work or, you know.
And in the industry you're in, it's kind of, I mean, especially now, with the art, it's for concerts. There's no many concerts, but it's kind of hit or miss or something because, I mean, if there's a church tour and there's 50 dates, you might only get 4 or 5 of the posters because they dig around and have different artists on them. Yeah. So you definitely got to be having a big repertoire of artists in your game, on your team. But your son, you're teaching him now. I know this Wolverine's one of his, and then you're teaching him before. Do you think he's going to follow in your footsteps? Do you see?
I don't know. He says he doesn't want to, but I think it's only because I force him to draw every day. He wants to make video games, so I figured at least how to draw, I can help him do something like that. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, he could definitely put that in there. I mean, you got to draw that. I mean, because your love was comic books, so. And my son's, he wants to be a YouTuber. He wants to be a gamer YouTuber. I'm like, dude, you're 6. Calm down. So, but
probably take that.
What was that?
Video. I said my son would probably take that option too. He loves video games.
Well, he was just playing the new Spider-Man, right? I think we got that in common because my son has Marvel Spider-Man. That's all he plays now. But I'm like, I watch him swing from buildings. I'm like, man, this kid is awesome. So
I was just saying, I think that days, and I'm like, what the? You know, he's only 7.
Yeah,
the game in like 2 days. Play it anymore.
Yep. Like my son's 6 and he's like, Dad, I want to play your PlayStation just so I can play this one game. I'm like, how do you even know that game's on PlayStation? I saw it on YouTube. I'm like, dude, you're in your YouTube. But we were talking about rare posters. We were talking about Church, one of his back in Hoffman Estates. But a lot of posters go to the aftermarket and go to eBay. And I know like when it comes to concert tickets, Church wasn't a big fan of resales and everything else. How is it different when it comes to memorabilia and merchandise though? Because I know that's kind of an argument that I've seen a lot within Eric's fan club is how is selling something that sold for $50 originally for $150 on the aftermarket or different than scalping tickets. And to me, I think it's completely different because everything does have a market value when it comes to art. Now is him on stage art? Yeah. But those people are just, I think there's a different breed of people out there doing that shit. But how I know it's a love-hate relationship with you when you see your art go on eBay. Because I mean, if I'm selling something for $50 and it's going on eBay for 1,200 like that Pearl Jam is or something, I mean, it's kind of like, it makes me feel like, damn, it's valuable, it's worth something. But then people hate bitch about it,
and they love it when their print is worth that much, you know. But like I mean, for me, I've had this conversation with people in the past, especially online, that kind of call me out because people are selling my prints, or they'll see a name of someone that they know sells them online, you know. If I show a picture of like,
kick him out of the fan club. You get that all the time.
This is my thing about it. You know, when I was starting out, a lot of the only people that were buying my prints were people that were selling them online.
Yeah.
And, you know, now it's hard to tell someone that's been, I mean, even though they're selling them for more money, they've practically been supporting me for the last 5 years or whatever it is in that.
Yep.
But now print sell out, I don't feel like it's right for me to tell someone they can't buy them anymore because there's more people that want them, so now you can't have them, you know. As long as they're respecting the limit, where if it's a one per person type thing, then you know, I don't really have a problem with it. If it is what it is.
And you got your own Facebook group too, and there'll be times where you'll go on there and you'll tell your Facebook group, I mean, because that's your diehard buyers are in there when things are going to, hey, Monday at noon, it might be Friday, hey, Monday at 10 or whatever, we're going to drop this. They're all uploaded, they're ready to go. They're going to drop tomorrow morning, and everything's ready to go. So I mean, you let your loyal people know, and I mean, I'm sure people know how to watch, but that's something that I see too, because I know Matt Wheeler, he runs Chief Merch. He deals a lot with Jim here, and I'm sure he gets emails every day. Oh, this person's selling this again. This person's selling that again. Because you see a lot of rare stuff, especially a lot of church stuff. Church has hit the memorabilia market. Like bands like Pearl Jam and Kiss and all those other guys over the years. I think he's probably one of the few country artists that will ever be in the memorabilia market. But it's crazy fans like me that just buy it up and run the prices up. I know there's one time I was bidding one of my good friends on a CD single of Eric Church's, and we were out bidding each other on eBay, and we're like, dude, we're running the price up on each other, man.
It's a good thing, I think, in a way that his stuff is sought after like that. You know, I mean, if nobody wanted it, then there'd be stacks of posters sitting in the warehouse, and he probably wouldn't be making posters for every show. You know,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's kind of how. There isn't a demand for them, then what's the point, you know?
Yeah, I mean, definitely all Wheeler's ideas would never be coming out. Now, real quick, when you do get commissioned for a church poster or you get contacted by Matt, does he have like guidelines or rundowns? I know you talked about before you did the Eddie Vedder one and you had to scrap your first idea because there's things that Eddie said that he didn't want to deal with the poster. Now, is there things like with church and with like that thing where we're like, hey, we want it more this or less that, or how does that process work?
It's evolved over time. When I first started doing prints for him, like the first two I did, they just basically sent me like a creative brief that with like keywords they like to see on posters, which was like skulls and Jack Dan, you know, that typical Eric
snake stuff. Skulls.
Oh, this is right up my alley, obviously. So that's enough. But then I just pretty much kept that creative brief in the back of my head for all the VIP stuff. And pretty much they let me just do, you know, whatever I want. I would send in a rough just to get it approved. But there was never really a lot of back and forth, really. But then when Matt took over, there was definitely more input from him.
Yeah.
conceptual ideas and stuff like that. But they're always, a lot of times that stuff kind of drives me a little bit nuts. But it depends on the person. Obviously, Matt has some great.
Yeah, Matt's Wheeler over there. He's a creative genius. I know today they just dropped a short little video for their Cyber Monday stuff, and there's a stash box in there. And his thing is a solid, like, it's probably Jack Daniel's barrel wood or whatever he did. It's probably gonna be like $500. Probably gonna be outrageous, but it's one of the coolest looking things. I only watched like the video for 5 seconds, and I'm like, this guy. I mean, there's nothing he can't design other than a hat that won't look good. I mean, or be a part of, and it's really cool, especially when he brings you on, because I mean, you two together has been very expensive for me.
Yeah, fun to work with someone that has good ideas, obviously, because it
knows what he wants.
Makes you look better, and
So you're going into the toy game, man, and this is one thing I know. Matt Hardy is watching in the chat, and he said, "Don't give Wheeler any more ideas." And I hope he doesn't get any ideas off this, but like, you're going into the toy game, and I heard you mention on another show once that you kind of were thinking about maybe doing a toy run for your posters. Dude, that is probably one of the coolest ideas, is almost bringing these posters to life and doing different toy runs. And if Wheeler started doing these church figurines and stuff from these posters, I'm going to be pissed, because I don't need a third job, dude. But tell me more about how you, or what you want to do, or what kind of where you want to go with the whole toy run.
I mean, it's kind of, I've always had it in the back of my head since I started the poster thing, or since I realized that there was a kind of like this art toy kind of scene going on. It kind of faded a little bit for a while, but I feel like it's coming back now. You got like the Frank Kozik. He was kind of first kind of got introduced.
Funko things are going crazy.
Jermaine Rogers is another one that is big on the toys, and so I've always kind of had it in the back of my head that I wanted to create characters in my posters that I could eventually kind of turn into toys and resin figures or vinyl toys. Once again, the pandemic kind of opened this whole opportunity for me to start doing what I wanted to do, but I just didn't have time. And it also opened up other people's schedules, because trying to find people to do this stuff is not easy. The vinyl stuff, that's produced overseas, so I've kind of put that on hold until I can find a way to communicate with the factories in China to have that stuff produced. But there's people here that do it. I have people that live near me that I had produce this first one that's on screen.
They're already calling it. I told you they're going to start calling it right off the bat. Our church action figures, man. They're going to be posters alive on the next tour, man.
It's still very early on in the toy thing for me, and it's still a learning process. But
we're actually we're thinking about what to get my dad for Christmas. I'm like, just get this guy a 3D printer. He'll create anything. I mean, anything you can think of, he'll just start printing off. But it's really cool to see how these are coming to life and how you're going to do this. And I really hope that you move forward with a lot of that with your posters, because, dude, some of these drawings are just off this wall. And where did some of these ideas come for you? I mean, I know we're going to be coming close, running out of time here soon, but when you sit down and say, let's just say it's not a church poster, say it's Fish. They contact you, want to do a poster, and they don't really give you any guidelines. You kind of just listen to their music and put yourself in their situation, or do you just kind of, where do you go with it? I mean, where's your ideas come from?
A lot of times, well, I mean, that's kind of evolved too. When I was first starting out, I would just listen to the music or read lyrics. A lot of times I would try to get inspiration from the lyrics of a song or whatever. But as I've progressed and got more popular with my art, and people are coming to me more just because it's me rather than they need a poster done by someone, I try to put my own, I try to do my own thing and still make it fit the band. But it all kind of circles back to the toy stuff and the art print stuff. You're trying to kind of mesh everything together so that you're building a fan base for yourself, as well as the artist that, as well as the musician, It's a balancing act, because there's sometimes you'll get called out if you slap something on a poster that has nothing to do with the band. And then people, what does that have to do with Fish? It's obvious when people do that type of stuff. But so yeah, that's kind of the balancing act. Like, I mean, for Eric Church, it works out great because this skeleton with the stuff, like, I could draw him on every poster, and I think people would like it because it fits his image, and it's.
Yeah, they're perfect. And speaking of like this one here, I'm gonna bring on. We got a special guest. I'm gonna bring on real quick. Let's bring Bill on. Let's see. Let's see if this works. All right, so I want to bring this guy on. I mean, I'm sure you've met this guy before and seen this face. Everybody in the choir knows who he is. So I don't know if he was the first one or probably won't be the last one, but when you saw or heard that someone had a tattoo of your design, for you, what did that mean?
It's always a compliment to see when someone gets your stuff tattooed on them, for sure. Yeah.
Bill, what about you, man? I mean, what drove you to do this, dude? Oh, do we not have him? Oh, do we not have your audio, dude? Are you on mute? You might be muted. This is fun of live audio, guys. You there? I heard you earlier. Nothing? I don't hear him. We got the finger.
Yeah. He gave you the finger.
You got the finger. All right, we'll give him a minute. Yeah, but so I got one church tattoo, and I remember showing him. It was the first time like he ever saw like one of his designs or anything on like tattooed, and it just blew his mind. And because I mean, tattoos are permanent. So and I know like a couple other people have like, oh, I would love to get like your work tattooed on them and everything. And for you, I mean, that's just it has to be bigger than the liquor store or kids coloring your posters. I mean,
yeah, it's like I said, man, a lot of it's all kind of surreal. The tattoo thing is a little bit, it's not as much of a shock to me as some other stuff, because before I started doing all the poster stuff, I actually had, I would do tattoos for friends of mine, like draw the art for them.
Nice.
To get it. This was before I even thought about doing posters or whatever, or even the animation stuff. So I have like some friends from back home that have tattoos that I drew, and if I looked at them now, I'd probably be pretty horrified at.
Look like that kid's drawing when you're 4 years old from your babysitter.
No, I mean it's funny to look back, but I mean I have one of my friends that has a huge like back tattoo that covers the whole body.
Nice.
And then another guy had one like he had like Lady Death tattooed on his back, like with a sword, and he wanted like a body with a decapitated head, below her. So I drew that part of it, and he got it tattooed on his back. So there's all stuff out there that's done.
That was awesome. Bill, did we get you? No. Oh no, buddy. All right, man. We tried. I'll put you down. I'll put you on the waiting room. If we get your audio, we'll bring you back in real quick. I see you mouthing something to us. I'm gonna try. I want to bring Bill on to have him just kind of talk about like what he really was, what his process was, or what his. I mean, was it just like, hey, I got drunk and got a tattoo, or did you really think this out and plan it out and see where it went? But we're gonna see if he gets his audio back. But before we're gonna play a game I do every week. It's called Hot Seat. So it's about a quick 60 seconds, 9 questions, just some random questions here and there. Some fun stuff. So let's see. All right. Your favorite color to use in a print?
Oh, man. I like red, I guess, probably.
All right. Your first cassette tape you ever owned?
Oh, geez. I don't even know, honestly. Maybe like, I think it might have been like an AC/DC tape or something. I want to say. I don't really know though.
All right. What's your hometown famous for?
Whew. That dude. It's not like tiny.
Did you guys have like a barbecue sauce or anything in town? No. All right. Let's see. What's one gig poster that you wish you drew, or that you wish was one of your prints?
One that's already been made.
Yep.
It's a hard question.
I know they always ask artists or like musicians, what's one song you wish you wrote? But like, if there's out there all the gig posters, which one you wish you had?
One I wish I had,
or one would you wish you had like your name on, that you had a part?
Man, any anything by maybe Jermaine Rogers. You know, he's one of my favorite artists.
I was checking a lot of his stuff out today, man. It's phenomenal work. What was your first job, your first paying gig you ever had?
Grade school janitor.
Oh, nice. Your favorite vehicle you ever owned?
Probably Mustang GT.
Nice. All right. Your favorite Halloween costume you ever wore?
Werewolf costume.
Hell yeah. All right. And the last one, something from your bucket list, man. Something that you want to, maybe an artist you want to draw a poster for, or something you want to do or achieve still.
I'd like to travel around Europe. I think that's like my bucket list thing right now.
Oh, all right. Yeah, man. Once this whole COVID things, man, I just want to travel again. Supposed to be going to Ohio next week. I will see what happens. I don't know. It's gonna be a weird one. So, Bill, do we get you? Do we hear you? I'm gonna give you one more chance. Do we hear you? Are you there? Nothing, buddy. I don't know what happened. We'll try again. We'll have to get him. I'll get some audio and patching or something from him. We'll do something. That's the fun of live. Jim, man, it's been great. Thank you so much for spending the last hour with me. Sorry about the issues right off the beginning, but at least we figured that off. Thank you so much for all the art and t-shirts and everything that I own that's sitting in my basement that you've been a part of. The metal signs that were printed with your Church Choir 2019 logo, all that stuff on it it's just been some phenomenal work, man. I cannot wait to see what you're going to do next. Like I wrote in the show notes and everything, your prints just stand out. You could tell that it's something from you. It came from you. So thank you for everything you've done. Real quick before we go, I don't know if a lot of you guys remember, but a couple years ago, we did a big raffle or big giveaway for the church choir where we raised almost $40,000 for Route 91 Vegas. Jim actually donated, if a lot of you guys remember, like 5 or 6 prints. And when we reached out to him to see if he would donate anything, we were thinking we were probably just going to get some artist prints and this and that. No, we got foils. We got like real limited edition foils that he wrote church choir for Vegas on. And we raffled out. I think Heather actually ended up getting one. Heather Melton ended up getting one of them. And I forgot who else got a couple of the other ones, but just some phenomenal stuff. And I really want to thank you once again for doing that and for contributing to that, because that was just phenomenal. And to be able to look when they did this and have all the donations and see the church choir was like one of the top 10 that donated, and you were a part of that and everything else. It was just phenomenal. So thank you again for that.
Oh, thanks. I'm always happy to help if I can,
Yeah, it was phenomenal, dude. We were not expecting that, and what you contributed was just amazing work. And whoever was out there that got these posters, man, that's some good stuff. That's some even more rare. That's why I wanted to have you write that Church Choir for Vegas on there, because there's only 4 or 5 that was ever had that written on there. Because anything like that makes them even rarer out there. True. So, but we're gonna drop all your social medias in the show notes. But go ahead and plug where everybody could find you or where they could shop for your stuff. And
okay. Mazza Art on Facebook. Mazza Poster Club on Facebook is a good one to be in. And then Mazza_art on Instagram. You can follow me all those places.
And then his website will be in the chat where you guys can go ahead and grab that and buy you something tonight. He has some stickers, some shirts on there. Just go check it out. Some really cool stuff. Jim, thank you again for spending some time with me. It was a great chat. We could probably talk about posters. I got like 30 more posters of pictures that we could probably talk about. But thank you so much, dude. And I hope 2020 gets good for you or stays good for you, man.
Yeah, same to you, man.
And I cannot wait to see what toy you come out with next, dude. I'm excited. All right, dude. Take care.
Hey, same to you, man.
Man. All right, guys. Thank you again so much for tuning in tonight. Amazing show. Just talking with him was just really cool, because I've always wanted to actually just sit down and talk to him. I got to do it a couple years ago in Nashville, but I really wanted, there's more questions I wanted to ask and really just see where things went with him and all that other good stuff. Let's see. So next week, man, I got a really cool show coming in, and I cannot wait for this one, because it's an artist that I've really started digging into his music, and he reminds me of a young Eric Church in a way. LV Shane is going to be coming by next week. And I can't wait for this, man. It's going to be really cool breaking things down and talking with them. And yeah, it'll be a fun time. We'll see you guys next week. Go ahead. Take care, guys. Be good.
The Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver is brought to you by Arlo Revolution. As we close the book on another chapter, remember, music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. Next week, Aaron connects more melodies and memories with other fans and the artists they love. Thanks for being a part of this musical journey, and we'll see you next time on the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver.